All the stupid things I say and do and never really stop when I should never have begun. I really ought to drop it, but it's faster when you don't even have time to stop and think about the things that you were saying, cause they never really matter. But it's empty spaces in the air. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. Oh no, all the million little empty spaces in the air. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. Oh no. Oh no, but
Cables everywhere, and I dropped the drink. Wait, there we go. Right, okay. Hello, welcome back to Keep It Vegan. My name's Ben, the AVD. Look it up. Just another quick kind of informal passing one here again. This is another one of those times where I want to talk about something but I don't have much to add that would justify the full Keep It Vegan show format. Just going to move that cable out of the way. Just going to have a quick chat about this one. This one popped up for me fairly recently. No kidding. Goat is the new, in brackets, ethical, the new lamb. Obviously, no kidding is a very clever play on words because a baby goat is called a kid, and that's what we're talking about here. Killing goats in place of baby lambs. First, kind of twist in the tail, and far be it from myself to ally with a particular news organisation, but f*** me sideways if this isn't The Guardian. Usually can be fairly well trusted. They've certainly been talking a lot about not just reporting on the rise of veganism, but kind of taking or kind of publishing editorials as to why it's important, why it's a good thing. But then this pops up, and obviously it puts me in a foul mood, because there you go. It doesn't take much, does it, dear viewer? Felicity Cloak, food writer. I've had a quick look through her other articles, and it's all nothing quite as inciting as this, but it's mostly just talking about food. British chefs are finally catching on to what the rest of the world has long known. Goat meat is sustainable, healthy, and full of flavour. Time to update that shepherd's pie recipe. No. Goat meat is sustainable. Well, no. If goats were being produced, or goats were being kind of bred and slaughtered at the rate, if we were only killing goats as opposed to everything else, it wouldn't be sustainable. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. If you're looking at the bare numbers, you could scrape the case that it is a sustainable practice because of X, Y, and Z, but it's not. It just isn't. Healthy? F***ing nope. Absolutely not healthy. And full of flavour? Well, you can argue that one till the goats come home to be slaughtered by Felicity. So, somewhere years ago, sitting on a train in, I don't give a shit. This is all talking about where she found goat. I don't give a shit about this stuff. Okay, I want to talk about the actual facts here. There are 45,000 commercial dairy goats in the UK, with demand predicted to rise by 500%. I've had a quick look around. I tried to find the source of this 500% business. The closest thing I could find was a comment on this report with the development of the US goat meat industry, and they comment between 1987 and 2007 there was a total increase in goat farms and total meat production from goats of between more than 300% and 500%. So, a completely irrelevant number if that is where she's getting it from. I didn't give it a massive look because that's not the hill I'm going to die on here. And this is the bit that really sorry, I just can't. That means there is an awful lot of male kids that can be either raised for meat or euthanized at birth. If you eat goat's cheese or drink goat's milk, you should consider eating goat meat as well. I mean, I have figuratively lost my tongue. That is the argument that you put to someone who is a vegetarian, who doesn't like the idea of killing, wants to stop harming animals, but they still consume dairy. You shouldn't consume dairy because in consuming dairy you support the meat side of that industry. That you are giving the industry free male cows to satisfy your potentially a case of morphine addiction. But I've never, and I'm like, I'm so angry. But it can't get through the fog of confusion. I've never heard anyone use this argument the other way round to justify eating meat. It's just, I was saying, that means an awful lot of male kids that can either be raised for meat or euthanized at birth. If there was ever a couple of sentences that summed up the abject fucking arrogance of this species, that's it. These are animals. These are baby animals we're talking about. If we're already stealing the milk of their children, if we're already impregnating them, then taking the babies away so we can steal the milk, we have those animals, those babies spare, so we can either raise them for more milk if they're a girl. If they're a boy, we just eat them. That just makes sense. That's good. That's sustainable business. I mean, have I lost my mind? I certainly feel like I have. Point number 2, health. Goat is lower in saturated fat and cholesterol than most red meat, which makes it a good choice of protein for us omnivores. Oh, that is one sentence. I've never been as agitated by one sentence before, I think, and I've read all of the Harry Potter series. Goat is lower in saturated fat and cholesterol than most red meat. Yep, that's fine. That's true. It still has saturated fat and cholesterol, then. You should be eating as little saturated fat as possible. You shouldn't be eating any cholesterol. Cholesterol you only get from animal products. Plants, you can't eat cholesterol from plants. There is a reason the Western world is dying. It is because of our fixation with fat and cholesterol. And this constant, continuous consumption of it. Goat is lower in saturated fat and cholesterol than most red meat. I mean, so's bleach. Are you advocating the drinking of Domestos because it's lower in saturated fat and cholesterol than most red meat? It's lower in saturated fat and cholesterol. Yeah, so's chicken. So's fish. They are also full of fat and cholesterol. They are still killing you. Consumption of saturated fat. Eating too much fat has been shown to cause type 2 diabetes. That's where type 2 diabetes comes from. You get your muscle cells, your cells get full of intramyocellular lipid. They get full of fat. And once they're full of fat, they can't signal to the blood to get the sugar out of your bloodstream, basically. And diabetes drugs, they just help you away the sugar in your blood. They don't actually help solve the problem. To solve the problem, you have to get rid of the fat. Fat has been linked... Oh, my God. And we're talking about red meat, which the WHO, and I say this every single video, it's starting to echo it inside my own head. The WHO, the World Health Organization, has classified red meat, unprocessed red meat, as a probable carcinogen, as a substance that probably causes cancer. It's a good choice of protein for us, omnivores. Okay, well, I'm going to go point number 3 and then back to point number 2. Point number 3, omnivores. We're not omnivores. I have a talk here on the Keep It Vegan YouTube channel. I implore you to go check it out or go and see the work of Dr. Milton Mills, upon whose work the talk is in part kind of based on. We're not omnivores. From our kind of digestive tract, from our teeth, the usual arguments you hear, but also down to the way our bodies are built, the way we stand, the way our eyes work, everything, every single part of us, we are designed to gather. We are gatherers. We are like gorillas. We are the apex gatherer. We are not omnivores. Every single time we eat something that you would eat as an omnivore, kind of meat, eggs, dairy, it has a negative effect on our health because we're not supposed to be eating it. We're not omnivores. This argument needs to stop. People need to educate themselves. We are not omnivores. There are enough vegans who go around saying that we're omnivores. Yes, it's fine, we're omnivores, but we shouldn't eat meat because of the moral implications. No, we are not omnivores. We are not. Absolutely not. 100%. We are herbivores. And people say herbivore, people think of horses and deer. No, not horses and deer. We are like gorillas. We're like elephants. We are rhinoceros. We are invulnerable herbivores. We are herbivores with no natural predator. And we are very good at gathering. That's why we are able to walk and hold things and eat at the same time. Our kind of eyes are magnificent at picking out colour, actually antioxidants that you would see in fruit and berries that we can eat. We are outstanding herbivores. We are not omnivores. Incidentally, omnivores when you look at an omnivore in the wild, like a bear or a raccoon, they are usually a carnivore with a slight adaptation to be able to eat some plant matter if necessary. Then it's not something that sits exactly in the middle that does both. An omnivore is traditionally an animal that is either one or the other, with a very slight little twist, a little flavour of the other side, just in case they can't secure enough food of their normal diet to survive. So no, we are not omnivores. And the choice of protein, I mean, as I've spoke about before, animal protein is incredibly bad for us. The work that T. Colin Campbell was doing before the China study, back in the 70s and 80s, he was working with animal protein, namely casein, the protein that's in dairy milk, and he was developing cancer with them. He was feeding rats the most potent carcinogen on the planet, giving some a lot of dairy protein, animal protein, and some barely any. And the ones with lots of protein developed cancer. As I say, I've talked about this before. I can't remember what video it was. I feel like I mentioned this quite a lot. I'll be covering it in another video soon because it keeps coming up. Yeah, animal protein is very bad for us. It's like an assembly line where a load of people are lined up and they're having to make toys as it's going down the conveyor belt. Animal protein will cause things like your liver cells to just overcharge and react too quickly, and it means that a dud toy on that line is more likely to get to the end, the packing station. It gets missed because the line is going too fast. Carcinogenic cells are more likely to get injured, but they're more likely to get bound inside the cell and passed on for reproduction outside of the cell. If you're eating either barely any protein or you're eating a lot of plant protein like soy or gluten, there's barely any change. Similarly, cancers like liver cancer very rarely get to the kind of development stage, the growing stage. So, goat is low in saturated fat and cholesterol. It still has some you shouldn't eat it than most red meat. Makes a good choice of protein. No, it's not. Any plant-based protein is the right protein for us. Anything else and it kills us. For us omnivores, we're not omnivores. Me, one sentence. Right. Flavour. Although it is often dismissed as tough or unpleasantly strong, not all goat is alike. Kid like lamb is tender and delicate, while older animals are ideal for the long, slow cooking and stand up well to strong spicing. This is an animal. This is a... I want you to picture, okay, if you're not a vegan, and I know most of my audience are vegans, if you're not a vegan, I really want you to just hang in there. I want you to go with me on this. Although it is often dismissed, I want you to imagine this is something you read online. Although it is often dismissed as tough or unpleasantly strong, not all dog is alike. Puppy, like lamb, is tender and delicate, while older dogs are ideal for long, slow cooking and stand up well to strong spicing. This was some article that had been translated from Korean. People would lose their shit because that's wrong. Talking about baby animals, like, well, the flesh of the young ones is nice and tender and delicate. It's the kind of the old ragged dogs that you kind of have to to death in a slow cooker. There is a reason you have an instinctive reaction to it, because you know it's wrong. And it's not your fault. Because society is built to take every single possibility, every single link out of that chain. There is an absolutely massive gap between how you perceive animals and how you perceive the meat and the eggs and the dairy in front of you. And that is intentional. That is a systemic process that is designed to brainwash you and remove any sense of understanding or recognition or recognibility in the food that you are looking at, to the animals that you see in the fields. There is a reason. It's not that you're a bad person. When vegans sometimes kind of go off on one, you are not a bad person for eating meat initially. Once you make that connection, once you find out what's going on, if you continue to do it, then yeah, that's kind of scummy. But what we're talking about here is a system that is designed to stop you thinking about it. In articles like this, I mean, an awful lot of male kids that can either be raised for meat or euthanized at birth. I mean, I don't know. I'm struggling. I mean, obviously, that then goes on to talking about some with the books that he's got coming out about why goat meat is the best thing. Look, if you're if you're a vegan, you're watching this, just hang in there because things are changing and we're just gonna have to put up with this for a while. If you're not vegan, I really hope that I really hope there are non-vegans who watch my show, because that's really why I'm doing this, is to get this information out there so people hear it and understand it. We are not omnivores. We are herbivores. That doesn't make you less of a man or some kind of weird tree f***ing hippie, okay? That's just fact. That's just scientific fact. You are bipedal. You have 2 legs. And you're a herbivore. You eat plants. There are tens of thousands of types of edible plant out there that we can eat. There are 7 commercially available meats or something like that. Just don't eat it. It's so bad for you, and it's torture for them. It's absolute I say this with no sense of hyperbole or exaggeration. UK slaughterhouses are hell. UK slaughterhouses are hell on earth. And we have some of the best welfare standards in the world. We have, DEFRA today, what's his name? I'm actively trying to purge his... He looks like Randall's assistant from Monsters Inc. Michael Gove. He was saying today, we're so proud of how we have the most amazing welfare standards in the world. Yeah, but that doesn't make it right. If you honestly think that we have the best welfare and that means something, that makes us good, that makes what we do okay, watch A Land of Hope and Glory. It was put together, I believe, by the Surge team. You can find it on YouTube. It's about 40 minutes long, and unlike a lot of slaughterhouse video documentaries, it's just 40 minutes, and at the top right hand corner, it will always tell you where the footage is from and what year, so you know exactly where the shit's going on. Anyway, I have shit to do. So, as always, if you want to support me in putting this show together, then by all means, jump on the old Patreon. Every new patron makes my heart go a flutter. I love the positive feedback. I love it when you guys leave comments. Obviously, I like constructive criticism, but I also just like positive comments, because who the f*** wouldn't? But every time someone kind of joins in and supports me on Patreon, it's amazing, because it feels like it's the strongest form of validation. It's just someone saying, "Look, I've got a spare buck. I have a spare quid. You take this because I believe in what you're doing." It's very, very meaningful. And I've got projects coming up as well, and the more milestones we hit on the Patreon, then the more we'll be able to get out there. So my voice is a little hoarse. I've been narrating videos for about 2 hours today, so my throat's going a little bit. As always, save the planet, save the animals, save yourself. Go vegan.